In this video, we're going to take a look at NF.5 for 4th grade, which states express a fraction with denominator 10 as an equivalent fraction with the denominator 100, and use this technique to add two fractions with respective denominators 10 and 100. So basically what we're going to be looking at is how to go from tenths, or 10, with the denominator of 10 to 100, or hundredths. Some important vocabulary that we should know is fractions. What a fraction is, a numerator, denominator, and what equivalent means. So if we look at this circle right here, okay, I have this circle split into 10 equal parts, and I have this one part here colored green. That fraction that gives us is 1/10. So if we look at this whole circle, okay, this is equal to one circle. I've split those up into 10 pieces, and we're only looking at one of those pieces. So if we look at one out of the 10 pieces, that is 1/10 of the entire circle. So that is the fraction. The numerator is how many pieces you're looking at, and the denominator is how many pieces you have it split up into. When we talk about equivalence, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take this fraction of 1/10 and we're going to figure out what it would be in hundredths. Alright, so if we start looking at this circle that I've just added, okay, it's the same size circle, right? These are the same size, so this is still 1, okay, 1 and 1. If we look, though, really closely, and I'm not going to make you count them, and I'm not going to count them, this circle is split into 100 pieces. Okay, well, this circle was split into 10, this circle is split into 100. So the denominator for this fraction, for this circle, is going to be 100, where this is 10. Now, if we look at this area that we have here and this area that we have here, they are the exact same size. They are equivalent. Okay, so we've colored the same amount, all right, the same size, the same area on each circle. So whereas this is one piece out of 10, so 1/10, over here at this circle we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 100, or 10 100ths. Alright, now this means that these two fractions are equal or equivalent. Right? These are equivalent fraction. If I had 1/10 of something and 10 100ths of something, I would have the exact same thing. So if this was a big thing of brownies and I cut them into 10 pieces and had 1, and I cut them into 100 pieces and had 10, I would be eating the same exact amount of brownie. So now let's take a look at this fraction. We have, again, we've split this into 10, and we have 1, 2, 3 highlighted, so that would be 3 in the numerator and 10 in the denominator, or 3/10. So how many hundredths would that be? Well, let's find out. So there you go. If we look and split it all up again into hundredths and color that same amount in, we're going to have from here to here, which is the same as from here to here, we have 30 100ths, which is equivalent to 3/10. So again, 3/10 and 30 100ths are equivalent. So if we look at that mathematically, we would have 3/10, and we want to get that to equal some amount of 100ths. Now we know already that that amount is going to be 30, right? We went from 3/10 and we got 30 100ths. So to go from this fraction, okay, over here, to this fraction over here, we're going to multiply. Now, what are we going to multiply by? Well, it has to be the same number. You have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number, okay, to get 30 and to get 100. Well, to go from 10 to 100, hopefully you know that you would multiply by 10. And to go from 3 to 30, you would again multiply by 10. So 3 times 10 is 30, and 10 times 10 is 100. So 3/10 is equivalent to 30 100ths. And so we've proven that by a picture and now with math. So let's see how that's going to help us when we have to add fractions. So let's take a look at the following equation. 3 tenths plus 10 100ths equals what? So we want to find out what 3 tenths plus 10 100ths equal. Well, as the standard says, one thing we want to do is we want to take a denominator that has 10 and find an equivalent fraction with the denominator 100, and then use those two fractions and add those. Okay. So first we need to figure out which of these fractions has the denominator of 10. That's easy, 3 tenths, because 10 100ths is already in the fraction, or already has the denominator of 100th. So now we need to turn 3 tenths into 100ths, and we've done that already, if you remember, just from before. So we know that 3 tenths is the same thing as 30 100ths, and we're going to add that to 10 100ths. And when we have the same denominators, then we can add the numerators. Okay, if we look back up here to 3 tenths and 10 100ths, we cannot add 3 plus 10 and get 13, and then 10 plus 100 to get 110. 3 tenths plus 10 100ths is not 13 110ths. All right, 3 tenths plus 10 100ths is 30 hundredths plus 10 hundredths, which, if we know our math, gives us 40 100ths. Let's look at one more. If I have 2 tenths and I want to add that to 56 100ths, what am I going to do? Remember, the very first thing we have to do is we have to find the equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100. So if we look at 2, let me actually erase that. Do that in a different color. If we look at 2 tenths, and we know we want to have that equivalent to 100ths, if you remember, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by the same number to get that. So if we know that 10 times 10 is equal to 100, we are going to multiply that numerator by the number 10. And so we have 10 times 10 equals 100, and 2 times 10 equals, that's right, you got it, it equals 20. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 20 100ths and we're going to add it to 56 100ths. And that's going to give us, remember our denominator stays the same, it's 100. And so we have 20 plus 56, which is 76. So 2 tenths plus 56 hundredths converts to 20 hundredths plus 56 hundredths, which gives us 76 hundredths. Alright, now what you need to do is look below this video and answer the questions in the Google Doc. Alright guys, thanks and see you this week.